Hey guys, okay, so this video is going to be a little more serious, but I've been really wanting to do this video for a really long time. But bear with me because I have no idea how I'm gonna go about this. This is a very emotional and sensitive video for me. I've had this urge for a very long time that I need to say it and I need to tell someone out there what I went through. So this is about my abusive relationship. There were some red flags. The first thing he told me on our first date was that he almost strangled his brother to death with a belt, and that his mother called the police on him and he had to go to jail. He just had to go to like anger management classes or whatever, but he didn't, and so he had a warrant out for his arrest or something like that. I didn't really understand that. He was kind of full of bull crap. So I'm telling you what he told me, and I know a lot of it's not going to make much sense, but you got to remember that I didn't really pay attention to that stuff. Okay, this is really hard. His mom got really sick and she had to move in with her parents. I don't want him to leave. He didn't want to leave me, and so I was just like, move in with me. Yeah, big mistake. He didn't have a job and I had a job, but my job wasn't gonna pay our rent, our utilities, all our bills. It wasn't gonna pay that. I kept on telling me he was gonna get a job, but he never did anything to try to get a job. And so my mom basically had to like start paying for our apartment and everything because I stopped going to work because I was depressed and had a lot of anxiety from this relationship. I was so obsessed with keeping him happy. I didn't want to make him mad because when he got mad, he got really mad. I tried, to stay on his good side. And so I would cook for him, I would clean for him, I would take care of our dogs. I would basically do everything. And all he did was sit in his room. We had separate rooms, like this was not a normal relationship. And he would play video games. He wouldn't even acknowledge that I had just cooked him dinner, or he didn't even worry about how I was paying for bills or anything. It was all one-sided, and he was fine with it and I was not. I was miserable. It was really stressful. I don't know if you've ever been in a relationship with a narcissistic person, but arguing with them is impossible. Somehow you leave that argument feeling like crap. I honestly felt crazy. This relationship made me feel crazy. I remember having a breakdown on my birthday. On my birthday, I had a breakdown because I just felt like I hadn't done as much as I should have to be as old as I was, and I just felt like a complete failure. I have really bad anxiety and I overthink things and stuff like that, and that makes me very emotional. And I just remember sitting there and just on my bed just crying and crying and crying. And he's just yelling at me, telling me my feelings are stupid basically. And somehow made my feelings about him. And I just remember feeling so stupid, so stupid for having feelings. I remember just arguing all the time. I just wanted, him to do more stuff, either around the house or get a job, start paying for crap like he promised. Again, he would do that thing where he would make it about him, and it was my fault. So it got really bad for me, but he always seemed happy, and I didn't know why. And then I started to realize I wasn't the one making him happy. everyone has different versions of what cheating is. I had this feeling that he was cheating on me, so I went onto his ex-girlfriend's account and I saw that he had commented like a winky face. And everyone knows what a winky face means. And so before I accused him of anything, I gave him a chance. I said, hey, do you still talk to any of your exes? Like that. I was cool. I was nice about it. And then he lied. I don't. And then I was like, are you sure? And then I gave him that look like. And he was like, well, I did comment on this girl named Penelope, which was not the girl. Like, I'm pretty sure he just made that name up. And I was like, anybody else? Because like I knew the answer and I just wanted him to tell me the answer and like tell me why. But no, he chose to lie to me. When somebody lies about something, they don't want you to know about it. And why would they not want me to know about it if it was like an okay thing, you know? And so I got upset. I called him out on it. I threw his phone at him. And then he put me in a chokehold. And I was like trying to get out of it. I was like hitting him. I was like crying. I was yelling. Then once again, he made me feel crazy. He told me I was like overreacting. He told me that I was making things up, that I was just paranoid. So I just let it be. I remember him always texting, like messaging her and stuff like that, and me getting upset, and then me going and crying in the other room, and he would just sit in the living room and just watch TV and like ignore the fact that I had feelings. So finally, I'm just gonna skip over our whole relationship to the big night that it all went down. So I still had this feeling, and so one day I was sitting in his room and he went in to take a shower. And I know to a lot of people, like going through your significant other's phone is like a big no-no. But when you have reason to, I think it's okay if you have reason to, because honestly, if they had nothing to hide, they wouldn't care if you went through their phone. That's what I've learned. So while he was in the shower, I went through his phone and I saw all these messages. They had nicknames for each other, and they had like, they said I love you to each other. He never even said I love you to me. He wished her a happy Valentine's Day. Didn't you jack crap for me on Valentine's Day? Like nothing. And I was his girlfriend that was taking care of him, and I didn't even get a happy Valentine's Day from him. But he was able to wish his ex-girlfriend a happy Valentine's Day. I was just like trying to stay calm. But obviously I was just like torn apart, because it's kind of like one of those times when you like, you know that he's cheating, but you just really hope that you're just crazy, that he's right, that you're crazy. And so me finding those messages on his phone and validating the fact that I was right, that he wasn't loyal to me, hurt. And it hurt that she was getting all this attention while I was the one feeding him, cleaning up after him, taking care of him and stuff, and she wasn't doing anything. Just like sitting there, and you just like, you're trying not to cry. You don't want to yell, you want to cry, you don't know what you want to do. And you'll just, you know, silently cry. You're just sitting there like, you're not even crying, but you are. That's how you know you're beyond upset. I don't know exactly how the fight started, but I know that I showed him the messages on his phone and I wanted him to explain. I just remember sitting there and him explaining everything, all the text messages and stuff. And I remember just going numb. And if you've ever been so upset and so emotional that you just don't feel anything at all, then you know what I'm talking about when I say I went numb. I all of a sudden didn't care, and I was done with him. Didn't feel like talking to him, but I needed to talk to someone, so I called one of my friends, and so we drove to my apartment complex, which was 30 minutes from where he lived, and I didn't say a word to Nathan, and I left the apartment, and I went and sat in the car with my friend, and I didn't have to explain anything. And so minutes went by, and I was like, okay, I have to go inside and I have to deal with this. And then he said, do you want me to stay for a little bit? And I said, no, I have to do this on my own. And I wish I had told him to stay. But I did not know what was about to go down when I came back inside. So I told him to go home, and he did, because I already felt bad enough that I had woke him up in the middle of the night to drive 30 minutes. So I went back inside, and I didn't say a word. A narcissist likes to have control over a person, so it really set him off when nothing he did mattered to me anymore. So I was just sitting there in silence, and he was talking to me, and then he was talking at me, and I just wasn't reacting. I was just sitting there, and I was just like, I didn't want to listen to him because I didn't know if he was lying or if he was telling the truth. So I was just like over it. When a narcissist doesn't have control anymore, he loses it. I was sitting on the bed, and he was like standing in front of the door, so I couldn't leave. And then he, like, when I wouldn't answer him, he was like asking me questions I don't remember because I was completely zoned out. He started asking me questions or like getting me to respond in some way, and I wasn't letting him have it. And he started just like slamming the bed with both hands, like trying to scare me, trying to get something out of me. And then I was just like, he got so angry. Like, he was already angry, but like when I looked into his eyes, I didn't see anything, like anything. And all of a sudden, I'm laying on my back on the bed, and he is choking me, like with his hands choking me. I freak out. That got my reaction. I freaked out, and so I kicked him off me. We made eye contact, and he looked at me, and he had that look like I just made a huge mistake. I ran straight to the door, and I was trying to run out of the apartment. Like, I was trying to get away from him. I guess he thought I was running to go get help, and so he ran after me. He grabbed me, threw me on the couch, and he was strangling me with one hand, and then he had his other hand like this, and I couldn't breathe. All I remember was him just telling me, you can't do this. You can't ruin my life. Don't tell anyone. Don't ruin my life. So even in that moment of him suffocating me and choking me out, he was still making me feel guilty. And the next memory I have is me laying in the kitchen floor. I wasn't even crying. I was just like just a body. I was just laying on the floor. And Moose was a puppy at the time. He was just beside me because he knew I was upset and he knew something was wrong. And he was laying beside me with his head on my tummy. And I remember him coming around the corner and him telling Moose that he needed to cuddle me. He needed to cuddle mommy. And I was like, I don't even get an apology for what just happened. What just happened? I just felt so alone because even though we had both just gone through something like significant, I was the only one hurting. He was just worried about if I was gonna tell anyone. It's so messed up. Oh, it's so messed up. And then I went to the bathroom to look in the mirror because it hurt to swallow. It was about a week and a half until it didn't hurt to swallow anymore. My neck was like bruised and you could see his handprint on my neck. Like it was what you see in movies that like you don't believe actually happened, but it happened, and then you're just like, this is actually a thing. I showed him and he was like, that's from the dogs. And I was like, are you kidding me? It's a human handprint on my neck and you're gonna tell me it's the dog? We decided it was best for him to leave. Part of me wanted him to leave, and the other part of me didn't want him to leave because then I was really alone. That was the last time I saw him.